This is the best of the best of the best, right here.
There's no other place I've worked at that has this sense of community.
We move mountains in a week.
More and more now, if you live in a city and you see a musical show, chances are it came in off a truck, unloaded, entertained you, and then packed up and went on to the next city. So the various cities are all seeing the same kind of entertainment. Here in Wichita, these shows are made fresh in this building, and what our audience sees in Wichita, Kansas is uniquely put together just for them and to create jobs for the young people who are working in them. So everything that moves is just these pieces. Yep. We only have 8 of us on the year-round staff, but in the summertime, with our actors, our technicians, our musicians, ushers, everybody else, we have about 300 people working here in the summer. Music Theatre Wichita works on about a $4.1 million budget. We make sure that we spend at least 70% of that back into the Wichita economy. We buy our steel, we buy our fabric, we hire as many local people as we can. We buy about 1,000 hotel room nights a year, and 76,000 people came downtown last year to see a Music Theatre Wichita show. Many of them stayed to have dinner, to shop downtown. It's quite an economic boon to the community. It's a year's worth of planning to put on a show that goes from Wednesday to Sunday. Every year, Nancy Reeves and Joshua Larson and I go around the country and we look for talent. This year we saw over 1,200 people to come up with the 30 or so that'll be here for the whole summer as performers, plus the Broadway guest stars who join them in each show.
I'm Jeremy Stoll. I play the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. I've been there for 10 years, and I've taken a 2-week leave to be in 7 Brides with 7 Brothers. The schedule at Music Theatre Wichita is challenging in the best way. It challenges every skill I have.
And what's your subtext for that?
I miss Gideon.
2, 3.
When we are auditioning people around the country to come here for the summer, one of the things we have to look for is quickness. They can be wonderful singers and dancers, but if they don't pick up information swiftly, this is not the right theater for them. We only have 10 days of actual rehearsal to put on each show.
Everybody comes as a collective here and just concentrates on that so hard to the best of their ability, and it comes together like magic.
So give me brothers and give me brides over here.
Once we've assembled all those people and we gather them into the mothership here at Century 2, everything happens in this building. It's all under one roof, and that's pretty phenomenal.
We've got a costume shop that's fabricating costumes, fitting things from patterns, getting them on actors, making sure they're sized right.
There's probably, I would say, 400 pieces of costuming that we are actually building here that will go into the Hunchback show. Choir robes, priest robes, pants, blouses, vests, gypsies.
We've got a carpentry shop that's building the scenery.
Is there anything at all that we're going to have to like rebuild totally from before?
Rebuild.
We have about 65, 70 shows, sets, props, and or costumes that can be rented out to other theaters. We get about 10% of our annual budget from the rental of sets and costumes. And that has meant that the licensing houses like to give us the new shows right away, so that we can build the sets and costumes that can then enable other theaters to do shows that they couldn't do otherwise. That's how we began with the Disney Company. We created sets and costumes for Beauty and the Beast. Then the Disney people spoke to the Mamma Mia producers, so we got to be among the first in the US to do Mamma Mia.
We've got hair and makeup upstairs. We've got a prop shop that's building all the things that the actors handle.
The most interesting this year has been these news stacks that I'm sitting on. We have to make ultimately dozens for Newsies, and they all are made slightly differently depending on their requirements for the show.
We are on the cutting edge of new technologies. On Hunchback of Notre Dame, we are actually interfacing digital imagery in with our hard scenery. with the hopes that we can create something on stage that is quite magical and transportive. We also treasure the time-honored, established traditions. Our paint shop is a perfect example. We're turning out scenic artists who are really skilled in the time-honored traditions of realistic, emotional, scenic painting. In our paint shop, we have a paint frame that's 55 feet wide, 26 feet high, that is motorized.
With a drop frame, we can step back from it and be able to see, squint at it and kind of be like, what are you going to notice here and there?
We're in this massive auditorium, and then I'm backed up by this massive orchestra.
Today in New York, the Broadway pit orchestras are being scaled smaller and smaller for financial reasons. So normally a Broadway orchestra pit now will feature 13 musicians and no more. We continue to use 23, 24, whatever the original orchestration for a show called for.
We have a full orchestra for each performance. I remember when other shows on Broadway came out that had full orchestras, that people said, oh wow, isn't this wonderful, a full orchestra? And I thought, no big deal, we do this all the time.
Money, 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 must be funny in a rich man's world.
Collegiate young people who work here for the summer get to know many Broadway actors who help them find agents.
All the actors they bring in from New York and the choreographers and directors, you get to learn from them and learn how different people work.
It's a massive stepping stone into doing exactly what we want to be doing with our lives, which is being actors.
The talent here is a Broadway pipeline, like nowhere else in the country. I joke with my fellow choreographers everywhere that we come here to go shopping.
Right now we have about 40 of our young alumni performing on Broadway in shows. We have alumni like Kristen Chenoweth and Kelly O'Hara who've gone on to very prominent careers on Broadway and in television and films and in recording, who have all given great credit to the fact that they spent their formative college summers here at Music Theatre Wichita. We like to say this is where you see the Broadway stars of today and tomorrow. The people who come in from the outside are always blown away by the extent of the cultural life here in Wichita. But the people who've always lived here, I think, tend to take it for granted. So the arts in Kansas need all the support they can have, not just financial support from everyone, but also vocal support, that this is unusual, this is worthwhile, this is worth keeping.
Music Theatre Wichita is a real training ground for the professional life. They're about teaching and instructing and letting the students know what the real world is like.
I remember so vividly the stage manager when I was an apprentice, and getting to be that person for the next generation of young technicians and stage managers has been so rewarding.
A couple of years ago, we came up with a phrase we think really says who we are and what we do. And it's only 4 words. Definitely Broadway, uniquely Wichita.